please join me in welcoming to the stage the one, the only Jodie Comer. Seeing as we are on one of the most iconic West End stages, the Adelphi Theatre, I actually first saw my first ever musical on this stage, Chicago, back like 20 years ago. So this is a real full circle moment for me. Can you remember your first experience on stage?
God, it's funny. I think my first memory I only remember because it's on like a home video. We found some baby videos a while back, and there's a video of me in a Christmas play. I was playing an angel, but I was my mum or dad, who are here tonight, and my brother, who were videoing it, and I was just constantly like, I wasn't even focusing on what I was doing. I was just like looking at my mum, making sure that she was
making sure she got the angles.
Oh yeah. That's I was just clearly made up that my mum was getting it on camera. So that's kind of my first memory. Well, when I watched that back, I was like, oh, it's so evident that I was gonna end up doing this.
Yeah.
It's just pure attention seeker.
I can't believe you didn't get Mary. You would have been such a phenomenal
I know.
Mary, babes.
I remember getting sent to the back of the queue. This has stuck with me, this memory. Getting sent to the back of the queue to get my wings because the teacher said that I'd pushed in, so she sent me to the back. I know.
Wow.
It clearly run deep because it's actually, I've never forgotten it. Yeah.
What an audition process, babe.
I know.
I mean, now, did you always dream big from the beginning, or did big dreams find you?
Ooh, I feel like it's something I've never questioned in a way. Like, I was very lucky that my family have always been so encouraging. You know, they could see from a young age that I just loved doing it, and I did a radio play when I was younger, and there were a lot of actors on that who kind of gave us advice and introduced me to an agent and a photographer and stuff, and they could just see that I loved it. So I always had that support, and I don't think I ever questioned it, strangely. I just knew that I had to kind of give it my full attention. I mean, I would never dream, if you told me when I was younger, like, oh, you're going to be in a Danny Boyle film, I'd be like, what? That would be hard to kind of fathom. But yeah, I think I'd always just been kind of focused in a way. Yeah.
On that journey, there are so many ups and there are downs, there's peaks, there are valleys, and there are the terrible auditions along the way as well. Is there an audition experience that's really stuck with you when it kind of haunts you a little bit, but you're like, oh God?
I remember there was one, this was when I was with, I feel like my agent when I was very, very young, and I remember going to London for an audition, and I got there and I didn't realise it was like you had to dance. And there was like professional dancers there, guys. It was hideous. It was awful. A lot of it I can't remember because I feel like I've blocked it out. But I remember like doing the dance and then, just thinking, right, I'll let myself out. Because everyone
I'll let myself out the door, babe.
Yeah. I'll do you guys a favor. But there's so many. It's nerve-wracking, for anyone who's an actor in here. Like, you have to... There was many times, especially when I lived in Liverpool, of, getting the train to London sometimes twice a week, maybe more, It's a long way, you do your preparation, and a lot of the times you don't hear anything back, and then you just have to carry on and go to the next one. Yeah. And I think it's even more informal now, in regards to, because everyone can self-tape, it's like, I think people are being asked to come into the room less and less because it's just as easy, which is also provides an amazing opportunity because someone can send the tape in who, was living on the other side of the world. But yeah.
And on that journey, you have to pick yourself up so many times, and there's so many challenges along the way. What is maybe a self-imposed hurdle and also an external hurdle that you've really had to jump over on your journey for you?
I feel like self-imposed hurdle is just like limiting beliefs. Like, I think sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. At least I've been in especially previously, like looking what other people are doing when I hadn't done film. I'd done a lot of television and thinking like, oh God, well, I'm not good enough for film, or, you know, oh, I don't look like this, or just being very, very self-critical, I think is often, you know, we're usually all kind of, you know, that's our kind of biggest downfall actually, is being our own worst enemy. So I think you have to get to know yourself and support yourself, really, which I've definitely, you know, done a lot more over the years. And I guess externally, I don't know, it's funny, I feel like I spent a lot of time like of people being surprised about me. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe me feeling like I know I can do something, but people not believing it initially. But that was what was so wonderful about Killing Eve and playing Villanelle, because she was so multifaceted, and you couldn't put her in a box, and then you couldn't put me in a box.
No.
Which was amazing, you know, because you hear a lot of actors, you know, you play one particular role, and then the likelihood is you'll get another 3 you know, opportunities of a similar thing, because someone's seen you do something and they go, oh, we'll get her. But that's what was amazing about Villanelle.
Yeah, I mean, you played about 6,000 characters in one playing Villanelle, didn't you? You were like,
I know, I let all my personalities run loose.
Yeah, you're like, if you want to see range, I'm going to give it to you on a plate. Here's the knife, here's the fork, let's go. And just before you got into Killing Eve, what would you say was a big thing that started to really make things click for you? Because you had My Mad Fat Diary. We've got any fans of that in the house? Any OGs? Yes. A lot of people love that. And 13, and of course, the iconic slap scene in Dr. Foster. I mean, what a slapper that was, babe. That was great.
People love that.
But I mean,
people love it. Very salacious. People love the
very
drama.
salacious. We love drama, babe.
I know. I'll never forget when I met Taylor Swift very, very briefly at a party. She very kindly introduced herself. I was like, this is mental. And she said, I love Dr. Foster. And I was like,
You are
what?
kidding me.
Yes. This is like, when Killing Eve was out, she was like, I love Dr. Foster. I was like, no way. Yeah. But I think it went on to Netflix. I think it had a little second life on Netflix.
When did things really start to click, do you think?
In what? In a sense of like...
Where you felt like, oh, I'm really onto something here. The wheels are in motion.
The wheels are in motion.
All aboard the bus.
Feel that? It's funny, I feel like I gained a real confidence through Killing Eve. I remember when I got the opportunity to do The Last Duel, and that was something I'd always wanted to do. I'd always wanted to
Let's
have
have
done
a clap for The Last Duel, everyone.
Thank you. When I met my agent now, Jane, who's also here, I feel like I remember going into a meeting room and I was like, I want to be Keira Knightley. It's kind of what I kind of said. So a period drama was something I'd always wanted to have done. And then, then I was on a Ridley Scott set, and I'd had the experience of Free Guy, which was amazing and fun. And I felt like I feel really ready for this, actually. Like, I remember doing The Last Duel and feeling a real confidence within myself. And I guess the beauty is of this job is that with each part you explore and each experience you have, you kind of find a little bit more of that. But I feel like definitely the experience that I've had on Prima Facie has been such a catalyst in personally, obviously professionally, but I feel like, guys, 30s are great.
They are phenomenal.
My 30s. I think when you turn 30, there's just there's a lovely sense of knowing that you have about yourself.
It's a newfound confidence, that's what I found.
Yeah.
And then when I got into my mid-30s, plot spoiler.
What's coming?
That's not, babe. But it's great because then you sort of know yourself and then you know your worth as well. And it's so important to know your worth, that everyone out here know your worth and really keep hold of that. Because it's really difficult, especially in an industry like you're in, where people are trying to tell you things all the time. When did you first really feel like you stepped into your worth and you knew what your worth was?
Guys, it was very recently. Again, I feel like the play. It was like, I think there was something about, even though I was surrounded by an incredible team of people, I never felt truly alone because there was just an army, predominantly of women, holding me the entire time. But there was something about being on stage alone and having to really kind of rely and count on yourself that I feel that it was really quite transformative for me. So, and there's parts of me like, oh, I wish I found that sooner. I wish I found it when I was younger. But things happen when they're supposed to happen. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this kind of space that I'm in.
Now you're in that space.
Yeah.
Is there a time you wish you could gone back and been more compassionate to yourself,
Oh
during
my
a bit of
God.
a lull
All
during
the time.
your life or on stage or in your career?
Yeah, all the time. I think, God, I feel like late teens, early 20s is
Oh, babe.
it's tough, you know. But I also think there's something quite freeing in being your own worst critic. You know, when I've definitely spent periods of my life where I've been consumed by the outside noise and social media and what people have to say about me, and it's been hideous. But knowing that I'm kind of my own, you know, I've probably said the worst things to myself. I don't know, I feel like I've kind of taken a power back in that. And I'm also like, okay, fair enough if anyone else tries to get in your own way, but it can't be me. You know,
Yeah.
I can't be me.
You can't get in your own way because you're going to
No.
hold you back from all the things that you want to do
Yeah.
and the things you want to achieve.
Doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
And you wouldn't be here if you held yourself back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Prima Facie, and I'm not sure how many of you guys have seen Prima Facie already. Oh my God, yes! Theatre goers in the house. And when I saw you on that stage, I could not believe that you were able to do that. Like one person doing all of that stuff on the stage continuously for an hour and 40 minutes every single night. I think that deserves a massive round of applause, guys, doesn't it? Because I can't imagine doing that as a normal person and not being like every night like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this. I'm going to do this.
That's what I was.
How do we manage those nerves, and how bad did the nerves get at different points?
Well, it's funny because I feel like in London I was so terrified because it was all so new. So I'd have my earphones inside of the stage and I was like just blasting my music because the noise of the audience coming in the auditorium just terrified me. So I'd have my music on, and then Maddie would like give me a gentle tap when I had to go in and step on the stage. And then, you know, on Broadway, I'd have Georgia. We'd kind of dance. We had the amazing Self-Esteem soundtrack, so that was amazing to just kind of yes, exactly. To kind of give me a real kind of boost of energy and empowerment, and we'd kind of shake the nerves off. But it's fascinating. It's really, really fascinating because, you know, sometimes you'll have nights where you're like, I'm ready for this. And then you'll get on stage and something will go wrong. And then you're like, oh boy, like this is not what I was, this is not how I thought this was going to be. Or I'd have nights where I was absolutely exhausted. And I'd give myself permission. I'd say, just do your best. Just literally just do your best. And they were the most amazing experiences that I had because I took the pressure off of myself. You know, I kind of, I just gave myself that space to play and not aim for anything. And I learned a lot within that. Yeah.
You got out of your own way.
Yeah, which is the biggest thing. Yeah.
And it teaches you to trust yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to learn, I think, in life, is to learn to really trust yourself. And just go for it.
I think that's a big thing as well as that's a big thing for me because I feel like I do have a good, strong instinct, but it takes me a while to act on it.
What's so incredible about Prima Facie as well is because given the subject matter, it has started so many overdue and important conversations. And I think when you go to see it, if you're going to go see it on tour, which we'll be talking about shortly, it really does ask questions of the audience, and it makes you reflect on your own experiences as well. And it must have started so many incredible conversations as well. Is there one that's really stuck with you from the experience of doing it?
I mean, there's so many. There is so many. But I feel like a quite profound moment, and I won't mention names or go into anything, but it was actually in the rehearsal room. You know, we'd been in this rehearsal room for, you know, probably 3 weeks at this point, and we're speaking about this statistic, and we're going through, you know, a particular scene and trying to grasp what it's about. And someone who was in that room at that time put their hand up and said, "Can I just share what what I feel about this and what I know of this. And it just, the air was like pulled out of the room, because it was like, how have we, don't get me wrong, there was such caretaking on this play. So we knew that, you know, you're in a rehearsal room and there may be 8 or 9 women in that room. So you know there's going to be people within that room who relate to this in a very personal way. But it just like sobered everything up, you know, to be like, of course, it's here. It's right here. And that was a real kind of waking up for us all, you know, and then we got into the theatre and to experience that for the first time. But it's been overwhelming. Like, you know, so many stories have been shared, and I think it's so beautiful, because I think the hardest thing is sometimes to just voice that is what's happened. So the fact that people feel like they can say, this happened to me, is so cathartic for so many. And it continues. It's all the time. You know, I'll be I don't know, paying a bill, and the waitress she'll be like, I'm 1 in 3, you know, or, you know, I there's so many women who actually don't say a lot. You know, sometimes it's just the look. But it's amazing. It's amazing to feel that it's resonated in such a deep way. And I feel like I have so much to explore through it. You know, I feel like I've changed so much from doing it on the West End. I feel like a different woman. So that's why I'm like, I can't wait to have the opportunity to go to these regional theatres and discover what iteration of Tess this is going to be through me, you know? Yeah, it's such a gift.
From taking it from the West End stage to Broadway, I mean, what a jump. Hello.
Yeah.
How did it change for you, taking it from one stage to another in a different place?
It's actually, the biggest change was that the Queen died. So I know
Plot
I
spoiler.
expected that was sorry.
Yeah.
So QC became Casey. So all the QC in the script had to change to Casey, which sounds like nothing, but it's actually it was an absolute
Really, like a mental mind.
Yeah. So that was the first thing that's just sprung to mind. But what was amazing was obviously I'd spend so much time in London just thinking, can I do this? Don't mess it up. Like, you've agreed to do this. Everyone's thinking, can she do it? Is she going to do it? And then I went to Broadway knowing I can do it. You know, I was like, I was so sure of that. So that gave me so much more room to play and find a freedom within it. Beforehand, people had told me that the US audiences are way more vocal. So I was kind of terrified, because I was thinking, what? They were like, oh yeah, they'll just like chat back to you. And I'm like, oh my God.
That sounds like hell.
Yeah, well, especially when you're like, you know, looking out to the audience the whole time, just to think that someone's going to start talking to you. But it wasn't actually really the case. The biggest thing was as well, they like to applaud you before you start out there, but we were always trying to get in before that. But again, there was so much that we found. That's another thing I couldn't believe. I was like, wow, you know, we've done so many shows in London, and then we get to Broadway, and I'm on like show 40 or whatever, and I'm like on stage, and then I'll have a moment, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's it. Or like, I find something new which completely changes the course of the remainder of the play. And I was like, that's what's so amazing about theatre, is that it's endless. And then you go to set and you have 2 takes and you think, oh my God, that's going to be on camera for the rest of time. You know, think of all the other things that we could have found, but you're not afforded that luxury.
And on Broadway, didn't you have a moment where you locked eyes with someone in the audience?
Yeah.
And then there was a very strange serendipitous thing that happened afterwards with that person.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, there's a moment at the end of the play where the lights come up and Tess speaks very directly to the audience, and sometimes I would look at people in particular, and there was one woman I looked at, and she looked away from me, and it makes me so emotional, and I thought, oh no, like I've looked at her, and I felt so awful, because I thought it's too much. And, you know, I came off, and Georgia Baird, everybody, we love Georgia Baird. She was off stage, and I was so upset, and I feel like I want to apologize to her. Like, I feel like it just wasn't the right thing to do, and I hope she's okay, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and then a couple of weeks later, I went into the theatre, and we had often had piles and piles of letters of people who'd come to see the play and were sharing their stories or their experiences of watching. And I just picked a card, took it into my dressing room, and I thought I'll open one while I'm getting ready and making my coffee or whatever. And it was a card from the woman. I mean, I feel like it was the woman because it was, you know, the timing, and she apologized to me for looking away from me.
Wow.
And she was like, "I'm so sorry. I looked away from you," and was saying whatever else. And then, she said she was having a Tony viewing party.
Oh my God, I love that for her.
Yeah. But I believe in those moments. Like, I feel, you know, I really do, in that kind of serendipity and that kind of divinity of, like, I really felt like I needed to apologize to her or reach out to her in some way. And then out of what could have been 100 cards, that was the one I picked up. You know, it was really beautiful. Yeah.
Those moments of connection are there for a reason. I always think that whenever you're sat across from someone, and it could just be one eye contact. It could just be one movement where you're just like, I see you and I get it. And I think through your work, you've really been able to allow people to be seen in so many different ways. When do you feel like you first felt seen, Jodie?
Gosh, I feel probably in my most intimate relationships, you know? It's funny, it's scary when you're properly seen. There's an intensity to that, and you can't hide from it, you know. But I think there's a beauty when someone sees you fully, because there's a proper I don't know, I feel like you're really able to find an acceptance of who you are through someone else seeing you in that way. They're able to see parts of you that you maybe neglect or don't support, or, you know, it's and I feel like my family and my friends, you know what I mean? It's my family and my friends see me.
It's very healing when you have that around. I think.
It's
and it really helps you on that journey. You need that network. And I think what's so incredible about the work you do on Prima Facie is you've also teamed up with the Schools Consent Project, which is an incredible charity, guys. So please look it up if you haven't done already, where they go into different schools and workplaces and teach people about consent. And you've donated your fee tonight to the Schools Consent Project, which is incredible. Let's have a clap for that. She gives back, guys. She gives back. And we've also got donations going to them as well. Why was it so important for you to team up with them? And what's kind of conversations you've had with them where you've been like, oh my God, that's really stuck with me as well?
Well, I mean, I think it's so important because I don't really remember having any sort of sexual education at secondary school, really, in any sort of substantial way.
It was just like, you're going to get pregnant. That was basically it. Sex.
Done. Do not get pregnant. It's like the only thing that you're basically told. But I think for me, and what I've witnessed in my friends and a lot of the women that I've met, is that, like, we all know when something's wrong, but we quieten ourselves, and there's this, like, inability to actually vocalize a no or to say how we really feel. And I think that is so important, to give people the power to know how to express themselves in that way. Because and especially as, you know, at that age when you're figuring so much out, like, I feel like so much can be avoided, you know, if you kind of are able to kind of step into that power at a younger age. It's beautiful. I mean, the work that Kate Parks has done, you know, she was a barrister and was struggling with her own kind of moral compass of, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I help? And I think you do have to, it starts in youth, you know, and a lot of these, you know, people who go on to commit these crimes, there is evidence of certain behaviors at a much younger age, you know, so it's about educating people, educating.
And that education is continuing when you take Prima Facie on tour around the country, which we're so excited about.
I know.
We've got the tour bus ready.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be like the Spice Bus, right?
Well,
I've already pitched
Thank you for your comment, because
you
commented it, and then I tagged James Beerman, our producer. Josh commented my picture, and he was like, "You're having a Spice Bus, right, for the tour?" And I was like, "James, are you seeing this?"
Yeah.
So hopefully
let's fingers crossed. We're manifesting it. But you're taking it home to Liverpool. Are there any Liverpudlians in the house tonight?
Hey!
Yes! How special do you think that homecoming is going to be for you?
I can't, I go through waves. I can't wait. I cannot wait. There's an energy of home and the people from home, and I feel like they're so fiercely.
That's a word, babe. We'll go with it.
It's been a long week of press, guys. Proud and supportive, you know, and there'll just be something about being home, playing Tess, and I'm a bit lost for words, actually. It scares me a bit as well, because I think, oh boy, you know, it's a homecoming and wanting to, you know, do them proud, but to play Tess from Liverpool in my home city, and also like think of all the different versions of myself I've been in that city, you know, and I don't know, it feels like a really beautiful kind of final chapter of what has been the most amazing journey. Yeah.
I remember when you did Help, you told me you brought in your mum's roast dinners, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to be doing that?
I don't know, Mum. Are we going to be doing that? I think we'll have to.
Yeah, we're going to put the order in.
Yeah.
Definitely will.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we're also here to talk about my book, Great Chat Tonight, which is crazy.
Woo!
Woo! Here we go. And the reason why I love talking to you so much, and I think the reason why we all connect to you so much, is because you are such an exceptional communicator. Just one eye, one look, one movement, and we can feel you, we can see you, you could just transport us to a different place. And that's what's so great about you. But is there a great chat in your life that's really stuck with you, Jodie?
Ooh. I mean, I have to be honest, like there's a couple of moments I've had with my mum recently of like things I've opened up about that probably should have happened a long time ago, but realizing like, I don't know, they've meant so much to me, you know. I think sometimes it does take you to kind of grow up and to be able to kind of open up in a way, and also to be met with a support and an understanding that was always there, but for some reason we hide away, or, you know, and so I'm kind of really enjoying, there's been a couple of those moments for me recently, yeah.
That's such a beautiful gift, I think. And that shows how great conversation can be.
Yeah, and also how you build up in your own head of like, oh, I can't say this, or fear of judgment, or, you know, and it's, well, not that it's never the case, but more often than not, I think, you know, especially in those kind of relationships, is you are often met with an understanding, and you think, oh God, why did I hold that in for so long? Or yeah.
They talk about this a lot in the book. Like, conversations help with our mental health so much, and we've already talked a lot about the power of life-changing conversations, how great sharing can be.
Yeah.
Did you have like a mental health awakening at any point where you're like, I need to look after myself a bit more now?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like I've probably had a few over my lifetime. But I guess thinking in a weird capacity, there was definitely a moment where like outside noise, opinion, social media, all those kind of elements became like kind of drowned me. And I feel like there's also always a part of us that like, if you feel something about yourself, you'll kind of go out of your way to find that thing and be like, oh, see, I knew it. You know, it's so bizarre. And I realized it was making me really quite unwell. And I thought, I'm the one who's in control of this. You know, I remember having this idea of like, it's almost like when you go and seek this stuff out, you might as well be inviting these people into your living room.
It's so true.
You know what I mean? And you don't want them in your living room.
You do not,
don't want
babes.
them in your
You don't want the
space.
trolls in the living room,
No,
babe.
no trolls in the living room, thank you. So I feel like that was a big kind of turning moment for me. And also just looking after myself. Again, with the play, it's different. You're kind of using your body more as an instrument, and just acknowledging that you got to take care of yourself, and take time for yourself. So yeah.
Well, we're all going to need to probably go to therapy after we've seen your latest movie, 28 years later, to be honest, because I've seen it and I've been having nightmares, babes. Let's get real. Who is excited for 28 years later? Yes. And guys, guess what? It's exceptional.
It's good.
Quick question. What made you want to say yes when it's that terrifying, babe? Why did we say yes to this?
Danny Boyle. Come
Yes,
on.
Danny Boyle.
I know. Well, actually, also, you know, it's so surprising, this film. I mean, it's kind of evident within the first film. Like, yes, it's a horror, but there are such moments of real kind of gravitas and intimacy and levity, and it was amazing to read the script and see how Danny and Alex Garland, the writer, have like stayed so true to the original form, but have just like expanded and enriched this world so much. It was amazing to see how The Infected have kind of mutated and evolved. And I think when I think back to the original movie, you know, I was always so struck by Brendan Gleeson and his moments and those kind of family dynamics, or thinking of Killian when he has to kill the child. And in this film, I'm a part of a family, and they live in a small community on an island just off the mainland, which is connected by a causeway. And that is really the kind of heart and what really grounds the movie. So I felt so connected to that, you know, and I felt like, oh, I understand that. Even though I don't understand The Infected, and that I'm going to have to get my head round, I get this. So it was amazing to think that they've kind of married all of these different elements into one film. And it's like, if you want to do this type of film, I feel like this is the team you want to do it with. Also, I don't think you say no to Danny Boyle.
No, I don't think you say no, babe. I wouldn't say no.
No.
Never. Now, when you're actually on set, though, is it actually ever terrifying? Because I would be like, this is too much to me, the infected are everywhere, because they're obviously everywhere when you're filming this. Was there any funny mishaps as well that you had, possibly with the infected or at all while filming this?
My mishaps were more like in my hysteria of like acting like fearful and running away, I'd like fall over, or
Okay,
you
great.
know, like
Humbling.
oh, so humbling.
So
Well, then I just
humbling.
got back up and was like like just didn't want to like mess up the scene, and was like determined to carry on. But I mean, the actors and the stunt performers who played the infected, they were in the makeup chair for like 3 to 5 hours every morning. So we weren't really actually having to imagine an awful lot, which is helpful. Like, you're just reacting, you know. But there was definitely a couple of moments, especially with Alfie Williams, who plays Spike, you know, kind of running through kind of barren fields full of nettles, and there being 6 stunt performers behind you running at full pelt. Guys, they don't take the speed off. Nobody takes the speed off. And naturally, you know, you're playing, you know, you're exhausted. My character is also suffering from an illness, so I was constantly playing that. And yeah, there was just, sometimes there's a lot going on, so you can very easily kind of get wrapped up in it. Which Danny always loved those moments. He was like, oh, I love it. And I was like, what do you love so much about it? And he's like, well, you can't fake it. You know, you really have to go there as an actor in order for the audience to go there emotionally. So it was fun. It's fun to kind of play the extreme of things sometimes and just let your inhibitions go.
Well, you know, we always end on one final question on the podcast.
Yes.
But I've got a surprise for you, because I'm not going to ask you this question.
Okay.
A special guest is going to join us to ask you this question. Take
going on?
a look at the screen.
Hi everyone, and hi to my 2 favourite people. I am so honoured to be a very small part of what I know is going to be an incredible evening for everyone. I have one question for you, Jodie, but before I do, I would love to quickly just say how proud we all are of you. Your talent has always shone so brightly, and I'm sure your kindness, generosity and hard work has been on full display tonight with Josh, and I'm so glad everyone gets to see you shine. So, in the reign of your life, what is the one rule you will always live by?
Let's hear it for Katarina Johnson-Thompson, everyone.
Feeling emotional.
Surprise!
You just ambushed me.
Now, Kat is a really special friend to you, right? Because you grew up together. You went to school together, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to St. Julie's together. We went to secondary school together. and it's so funny when we look back, because we were like, you know, Mean Girls. We were like, God, we were the art freaks. Like, we were the group of girls in the schoolyard making weird videos, dance routines, like just being so odd. But I love looking back at that now, because it was also like pre-Instagram, you know, when you just look back at the time and you're like, oh my God, we were so blissfully unaware of ourselves, of everything. So there's like such an innocence, you know, with Kat and their memories.
Yeah.
There's friends at home who I've known, you know, since I was so young, who've seen all the different versions of me, and who are the people who I know that, you know, no matter kind of where I'm going, the moment I get back with them, it's like, woo, everything sheds, and we can all, you know, be your truest self.
To answer Kat's
yeah.
question, in the rain of your life, what is the one rule you're always going to live by?
Well, I mean, the first time I was here.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
I do. I said, if you think, you stink.
Which is still very apt.
Yeah, which again, I got told when I was recording the fantasy song for
Yeah.
Free Guy. I was in like Capitol Records in LA, and I was like in the booth, and I'm like, "Meh." And the guy was like, the guy like pressed the button, and he was like, Jodie, we have a saying in the music industry, if you think, you stink. And I was like, great.
Got it. Mariah, here I
Basically,
come.
but again, telling me like, get out your own way. But I feel like my new one is, I feel like the quicker you let go, the quicker you'll learn. Because I feel like have had feelings and ruminated on them and questioned them and doubted them, and then acted upon them, and then realized that feeling was really trying to tell me something, and then you learn the lesson, and I think there was like, I think sometimes there's a kind of prolonging, you know, and inaction. So that's what I'm feeling at the minute. The quicker you let go, the quicker you'll learn.
And get out of your
Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way, babes.